Hi boys, this might be an interesting one to react to صراحة. I feel like I don't know. This is this real or is this fake? I'm not sure.
Alright, hear me out. This is not a video game. It's not CG or AI.
That is fucking crazy.
It's all real. Shot in
يبغى لي
camera
اقدمها شوي
with real people
سرعها.
on real sets. Crazy, right? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but a few months ago, the crypto company Coinbase wanted to make a commercial for the Oscars that showed what it looked like for a man to break free from the simulated world of a video game. So they asked film director Oscar Hudson to be the one to bring it to life. And he did. But he did it in his way.
1 sec, I'll just check that.
Almost every facet of the world we were building was taking detail and printing it flat and putting it back onto surfaces. The suits that these people wear, they're not being made by tailors, they're being made by video game designers. It's all two-dimensional. It's basically a miniature set, and you can see that. The arrow is just 4 bits of yellow perspex glued together. That's all it is. How do you do a shot that starts 10 meters in the air, moves in a locked-off isometric fashion, and then gradually evolves into something so much more handheld and tactile and human?
أنا like ودي أخليها.
So much effort, so much craft, so much humanity.
Dude, 50 دقيقة is a lot though.
Why didn't you guys
I don't know if I'm
just
gonna
do
watch the
easier
whole thing.
and use CG to animate this?
Well, that wouldn't have been a lot of fun now, would it?
That is fucking crazy.
Here we go again.
Oh, this is what they. This is the lamp they used. That's crazy يا رجل. كيف فكروا فيها أصلا يا رجل? I wouldn't even think this was possible يا عارف.
Thanks for the change.
Welcome, player 3984. Would you like to get in line?
Yes.
What's the matter with you?
I mean, not gonna lie, you can see, you can somehow spot the humanly thing about it, but
Where are you going?
مرة صعب يعني عارف.
Whether I find a place in this world or never belong.
Yeah, not gonna lie, like a pixelated game would not, no way a pixelated game like that, or whatever يعني بشكل عام whether it's an ad or any pixelated scene, no way they can make animations look that good, you know?
World or never belong. I gotta be me.
But it's still صراحة very tough يعني.
Player 3984, your recent behavior is totally unacceptable and out of line with what we represent here at this company.
What else can I be but what I am? I'll go it alone. That's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free. I just gotta be free. Daring to try to do it or die. I gotta be
With base
Oh, this was
44,
the ad?
a
Never mind.
simple sentence becomes your website.
So I think the big question here, at least for me, is why didn't you guys just do the easier thing and use CG to animate this?
Well, that wouldn't have been a lot of fun now, would it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think given that the idea of the script was that it was about a man breaking free of a video game, and given the way I like to do things, which is you know, I love practical effects, I love in-camera magic, and I love creating worlds. It felt to me like immediately obvious that the right approach with this
Oh my
was
God.
to make a video game in real life. That was the only way I could see that we were going to be able to blend from one reality to another reality. Like I think if we'd started out in a real CG environment, I don't know how you slide the slider from CG to real, but I do know how you slide the slider from real pretending to be CG to real.
Yeah.
So it was really that. It was about trying to lay the groundwork for creating that shift. But that's the sort of more kind of boring practical reasoning. But the maybe the better, more kind of story driven reasoning is that we were trying to find a way to make sure that the character had humanity right from the beginning, even when they were trapped inside the video game.
That was planned.
Yeah.
And I think that's in there. I think that there's this human quality that's kind of hiding within the slightly uncanny fake game world.
Yeah, to me that is the most beautiful thing, is this transition moment. Because honestly, the first time I saw it, I thought, okay, this is a CG film that goes from CG to real life. But it wasn't until I saw a lot of the behind the scenes footage that I realized that you guys actually just shot the whole darn thing in real life, which I think is incredibly beautiful. I know a lot of effort went into that. What were some of the conversations you had with your department heads, or with anyone really, when it comes to how do we take this thing that's so recognizable to people and deliver it in a way that really kind of hasn't been done yet?
Yeah, well, it was a really vast collaborative effort trying to figure all this stuff out, figure out how you do build a game world in real life. It's not something that there's a roadmap for. So it took experimentation.
That is fucking crazy.
R&D.
That was also
a
hard.
thorough process of trial and error.
So everything was literally
all that
real,
being
dude.
said, on a commercial timeline, which is not a very generous one. So really, like, as soon as the ball was rolling on the job, we got into doing materials tests in London. So we shot in Cape Town actually, but before we went, a lot of my team are based here. So we very quickly set up a materials test where Luke Moran Morris, who's my production designer, built 3 or 4 different little sort of basic sets, or with quite different sort of textural approaches. That being, scenic, which means like painted. Then various other ones that were a lot more to do with printing. So like printing out textures that had been intentionally
But dude,
made
honestly,
low res or pixelated.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you think about this, imagine they did not release. Imagine they did not. They just released the whole trailer, and they weren't like. They just like kept it quiet. Like they didn't say it was actually a real footage. It was actual. It was just real to real ad. If it wasn't any تقريبا CG that was added to this, so أي شيء. Imagine if they kept it quiet. Nobody would have given a shit about the ad. Like Hassan. I feel like behind the scenes is more of an ad than the actual ad.
or something like this, and yeah, so we made these little flats, and into that we put our man in some very, very early kind of like prototype costumes. And
I'll skip some of it, okay, because I'm not gonna watch the whole thing.
well, the first thing we did was we put him bang smack in the middle of frame for most of the film. So yeah. And he's got the arrow over his head. He's the. Everyone calls him an NPC, but he's kind of the one person in the film who's not an NPC. He's the one who's being controlled by the system. Maybe it's a subtle distinction, but it's a distinction of sorts. And what did we do? I mean, I worked with. I did a lot of research into games and game movement, and worked with brilliant choreographer Maeva Berthelot to craft a kind of movement for the character that had humanity, but that also felt depressive, that felt sort of reminiscent of games without being a total rip
the movements to everyone. Fuck that, dude.
And we tried to create a kind of whole lexicon of motion for the character so that he was able to, move in the right way. And also, I guess, want to mention Arthur, who plays the lead character, is a brilliant physical theatre performer from a school called Jacques Lecoq in Paris, which is a a place they like to cast from quite a lot. They kind of make these like art clowns basically, and I always think that that physical theatre performers have a different quality of not just movement but of character. You know, it's a very, very different sensibility to say like a more traditional like dancer.
This guy got lost.
You may cast for a movement-led role, and
this guy's the guy on the left is like
really characterful.
When do I get to say the next question?
Of that school of theatre, and yeah, he's just extremely charismatic and looks great even when he's got.
I mean, the guy is really adding some details اللي ما يحتاج نسمعها. Charismatic والأمور طيب. I don't care, man. It's just a fucking ad. But it is cool, and it's just like the design is what makes it cool, you know. Anyway, studying real NPC behavior. They did literally everything, dude. كل شيء كان تقريبا, it was like new. I mean, everything was real.
Putting a giraffe crane on the back of a flatbed truck, basically, and so the camera is tracking by being driven, basically. It's a precision driver who's, you know, rehearsed and knows the emotions as best as possible and does his best to track the character and stop and start along with him. And then there's a little bit of post stabilizing going on, but not a huge amount. There's a little bit of post stabilizing going on after the fact as well. That was a surprising challenge, just in terms of like how we were going to go about doing it, because, you know, there's all kinds of other solutions which you could think of. You know, you'd ask why you don't use a drone, but drones are. I'm not a big fan of drones, to be honest. They never perform like how you want them to, and even just really? for the simple fact of like how do you dress a set? You know, like, do you want to be flying your drone out for 2 minutes to try and dress things to camera every single time you want to have a look at your shot? Like, that winds me up no end. So I'm really not a big fan of using drones for something like this, but.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because how many different elements went into building this specific world? I mean, everything in it. When you get your shot up, it would be crazy to have a drone up there and need to fly it up there every time just to see the shot. Makes sense.
And also, like, you know, obviously everything.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Reality breaking through.
While we're talking about this kind of point of view, this kind of setup, this room that you're shooting in, this
was the transition, I believe.
Shot that I think is probably the most iconic, the biggest part of the piece. I can imagine how many things went into it. I just want to hear how you guys did it, all the nitty gritty. Let's jump in.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a shot that we called the reality run, and it the idea of it is that it begins in the isometric kind of game world view that we've established early on, and slowly sinks down and zooms in and becomes handheld, kind of as our character sprints down the street, and the world around him kind of gradually becomes more and more human and textured and tactile and messy, and
so cool.
There's sparks and smoke and all kinds of things that don't belong in game world.
Yeah, dude, I need to know how they did that. The yellow thing.
I think from the start, this was really, in my mind, was kind of the centerpiece shot from the very beginning, and I mean, I hoped it would feel.
Was it also like?
I think
tracking
it does.
him? No, it was not tracking him for real.
Really difficult shot, a really difficult shot.
I think that was CG. Yeah.
Again, the grip was the big challenge. It was like, how do you
توقعت انه they probably like attached حاجة كده like a rope to it, بعدين مسحوا الروب.
Do a shot that starts 10 meters in the air, moves in a locked off isometric fashion, and then gradually evolves into something so much more handheld and tactile and human, all in one continuous motion. So we tested it, and ultimately the challenge became like, how do we maximize the height that it can start at, because with all of that gubbins hanging down, you end up losing so many meters of height. at the start of the studio, and it was a challenge to get ourselves high enough to get the angle that we needed for the start of the shot. But really, it's just time. It's just time and prep and research and trial and error. And the guys who built this rig did a great job. And it really takes days of just trying to figure out how to get this thing moving smoothly and not wobbling too much and all of this.
Days is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and maybe actually as well, like a word on the ending of the shot, because I mean, obviously, the ending here, you see him run into this like covered kind of flower market sort of area.
Yeah, I gotta know what's the exact transition here where that happens, because this is 2 shots, right? And
you can find it if you want. If you step through, you probably can find it. I think you just shot in
building the set was also
wow,
I think
I got back from South Africa like 2.5
really
years
interesting.
Wow, yeah, you guys ran fast on this one. How much was done in prep? How much prep are we talking? And what was the team like? The people actually building sets like this and getting the thing to a place in which you can show up to shoot it with the camera?
It was a 3-week set build. 3-week set build, which was what's that expression? You're building the plane as you're flying it or something.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We had to embark upon the set build, like, because of the deadlines. We'd started building the thing before we'd had signed off designs. We were sort of approving things in broad strokes, and first you approve the scale of the thing, and then you approve the kind of rough shape, and then you approve the surface finishing, and it's just the nature. I mean, commercials are always like this because you have this layer of client and agency and director and the team. It's sort of.
I want to see what they exactly. I want to see how they built everything. I want literally everything. Dude. God damn that. I feel like they're missing. من هنا لهنا, there's like so much missing from the set. Like the guy is just saying it. I want to see more. Dude.
Differentiated from I suppose you'd just say cinematic or like film language storytelling, which in this film is kind of like reality, I guess, so rather than game reality. But
right,
and if a video game world is defined by a fixed isometric view that follows a central character, I kind of got approved with the agency, and
my guy
expanding the world and creating these bigger
make
spaces
it fast, dude.
where we obviously can't build an entire plaza, so we build it in miniature and composite him into the plaza. There's a sequence of 3 shots in the middle of the film that are done like that. But then this boardroom shot is the kind of funny anomaly in that it's basically a miniature set, and you can see that
they do show some things here.
The actors are full scale and the table's full scale, and you can see here in this little BTS clip that it's exactly what's full scale. But the whole room around it is a miniature. And I was quite excited to do this funny combination of like miniature environment with full-scale actors. It's not something I've done before. I've worked with miniatures a lot. I love miniatures. It's like something I always find myself doing miniatures. But I've never done this before, and it worked really well. I was really pleased with the result. Like kind of amazed how cohesive it feels actually. But again, it kind of felt like this script, more than maybe like a quote unquote normal film, kind of allowed us to do that whole thing, to do that anyway, to show the seams a little bit. Like if you look in the corner, so those are printed windows. That's just a 2-dimensional skyline that's just printed and put on the window. But like at the bottom of that wall there, you can actually see the seam. Like that's just a sort of a bad edge of the miniature. I love stuff like that. You wouldn't. It's like it's a tiny thing, but I just love that there's these weird details, these kind of little bit of scrappiness in the set that just gives it that like off quality. I think imperfection is a really underrated part of any process. It's what brings like humanity to a thing. A lot of people are talking. I'm seeing people with this film seeing it as a kind of fuck you to AI because it's like so aggressively handmade. It's like if AI.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, dude. This is one thing that makes new movies also uninteresting. I mean, يا أخي في أشياء مو بأنها it's not necessarily uninteresting, but it's just in there's like so many movies you want to watch now, and you're like يا أخي تحس إن I don't know تحس إنك يا أخي you just know for a reason that يعني okay let me just give an example مرة واحدة بدل ما أقعد أتكلم باتمان أيام زمان وباتمان الحين both are good movies يعني خلينا نقول ذا باتمان اللي نزل مرة آخر واحد خلينا نتكلم مثلا باتمان اللي هو بتكلم عن اللي مثلا يعجبني الحين عارف أو مثلا اللي أنا مرة عجبني من أيام زمان what was it called اللهم صل على محمد اللي كان فيه داني ديفيرو I forgot the name of the movie but dude صراحة باتمان هذاك يعني حتى تحس يا أخي when you watch the movie it's just it's insane يا أخي تحس أصلا يعني مو شرط إنه والله there's difference بين الحين وبين قبل يعني مو شرط إنك أنت والله both movies they had Gotham in it عارف both movies كانوا أصلا في Gotham but for some reason when you can tell إنه والله هذا مثلا الموفي it was shot for real يعني كل شيء كان صدقي يا أخي it gives something else والله يعني it gives ما أدري شعور كذا مختلف تخليك تقعد تفكر عارف for me it's not always about the movie يعني والله والقصة كيف كانت حلوة ولا الديالوج ولا حتى يعني حتى الأشياء اللي مثلا اللي أنا مثلا ما هي موجودة بالفيلم بس أنا أقعد أفكر فيها والله إنه والله how it happened من وراء الفيلم that's interesting but in CG مثلا أو CGI dude يعني they're literally using like AI and shit عشان sorry they're literally just like using AI عشان يضبطون المكان أو يضبطون الفيلم أو whatever
Is making our reality. This is like the humans making computer reality.
oh here it
The
comes
solution is and the arrow is just 4 bits of yellow perspex glued together. That's all it is. And what's amazing about perspex, which you can see in this video here, is that if you put, it's like a fiber optic cable. If you light down the edge of it, the seams light up, and that's all it is. We just put 3 little LED arrows on the corner of some perspex, and it's created this like cool 3-dimensional shape. And yeah, like we had a couple of these on set, and in moments, you know, we are definitely using like a CG one at various points when, especially when it's like flying down the street after, and that's not real. But
Right.
But it's like in the bank you hear it's puppeteered. This is just it's being puppeteered by a guy with
oh
the arrow on the
goddamn
stick there. And at any point where it's interacting, smashing out of the glass or hitting the floor or anything like that, we always try to use the real one to get that kind of like real physical. Get
That's
that
so
dynamic out of it, you know. But it's amazing how good it looks, just in reality.
You've got a great cinematographer on this. It's funny because like the cinematography is obviously very important. What were some of those conversations that you and Ben had going into this?
Well,
I feel like الباقي بيكون هبد so I think we've seen enough صراحة but that was really cool I feel like them releasing the behind the scenes was the main ad dude. It was like the main they should have just released the behind the scenes وخلاص because it is fucking crazy صراحة I swear there's like a Star Wars game. Yeah. Star Wars Galactic Racer.
Our newest racer has arrived! Welcome to the Galactic League! Since you're here, why not take part in a friendly exhibition race?
That looks cool, but is that like Mario Kart but Star Wars with good graphics?
Impeding! Impeding! If they weren't holding me back right now, I'd have you frozen in carbonite!
Yeah, that's insane. But يا أخي ما أدري صراحة أنا ألعاب ستار وورز I like ألعاب ستار وورز لكن بشكل عام ألعاب الريسنج قصدي. Is it a racing game or is it like a campaign game or whatever it is? Because I'm kind of confused about this. There's like a comparison video.
Welcome to Tatooine, Padres fans. We have perfect weather today for the Bunta Classic.
And a big
That's like the first one that got released.
turnout here from
I mean, they're probably gonna do the same thing.
The current record holder for this track is Ben Wallace.
It is actually a racing game. Connect? They did a Connect version, like an Xbox version?
And they're off. All cars are moving off the starting line. Take over. Gasgano takes the lead. A big leap into the industrial areas of Carson.
Dude, that is gonna be
Whoa!
Star Wars cards.
Well, looks like the electric fields are live today. Try to stay under the power couplings, racers.
Is there a gameplay of the new one? I don't think so, sir. They just like they released the trailer. Yeah, that is cool. probably gonna have to check. Is it coming out anytime soon, Star Wars? October 6th. When is that? That's like in 7 months. 5 months. Yeah, I'm probably gonna check it out لما تنزل.